videos. But as you guys, if you're in the room, know I talk about management a lot in the room. But let's go ahead and get started here. Like I said, we got a little bit more than 5 minutes left. SPY had a nice gap up today and then going to be closing up 0.5% there. Q's up a little over 1%. All right. As you recall, we were following the market uptrend. The market uptrend did show a little bit of weakness after this gap down, right? But what happened after the gap down? No follow through. So we mentioned yesterday that we're probably 2 setups away from even going to a bearish bias. And even as we were starting to get weak here last week, I said that we would have to see if we can get follow through before looking for the next setup. So we were never bearish at all through this pullback, right? And I think that is very important about using time frame alignment, right? Understanding what the daily, the weekly is doing along with the hourly, right? So knowing that, yes, we are starting to get some lower prices. We are getting some gap downs, but that's in the context of this daily uptrend, weekly uptrend, right? Monthly uptrend. Okay, so not that surprising today. We had that gap up. We got a little bit of follow through. We did try to explore lower at some point in the morning, and then got picked back up and then kind of going out sideways. As I came on the mic here, yeah, someone asked me, "Oh, what do you expect for the rest of the day here?" And yeah, because I come on right at this time. I said probably sideways. We'll probably close somewhere around where we are now. We were already starting to do this rally, and we had failed on this 5-minute sell setup when they asked that question. And you can see that's pretty much where we're going to close out here because we tried to go higher, not much follow through, tried to go lower, right? Found the bottom. So I said the range is probably in, which is pretty normal, having the range kind of set within the first couple hours. There's nothing too out of the ordinary there. But going into tomorrow, still going to be bullish. Okay, so nothing really changed. We just got more continuation on the uptrend, confirming our bullish bias. So we're still looking higher here. We did get a new high there in the Qs. So it's not uncommon to get a pullback after we get a new high, much like we did previously. But that doesn't make us necessarily bearish. Okay, so we'll remain with the idea that sell-offs are buyable. Okay, so market bias going into tomorrow, still bullish. That means sell-offs are buyable. Okay, same for the SPY here. SPY also got the new high, staying strong. Okay, so I did want to take a minute here now to talk about today's trades, but also use that as examples for kind of what it means to take your first loss, or the saying that your first loss is your best loss, right? I think there's a lot of kind of different approaches to it, right? Take small losses, take your first loss, right? And there hasn't been an issue that I've seen that occurs in the coaching clients that I've had that is more damaging to accounts than not taking your stops. I know sometimes it sounds like when I go over it that I'm really only addressing beginners, but I think for people, if it's an issue, it's an issue that you just really have to be aware of and you have to get rid of as soon as possible. Okay, so I was bullish on the CMCSA in the morning. We were gapping, clearing some resistance. I wanted to see how much follow through this CMCA would give. Okay, and it turns out really not all that much. We got this buy setup in here on the CMCSA at the open. Okay, all right, right here. Okay, and we got to retest the highs. I did want to see new highs. So then after we came back down, that was where we were out right here. So we were in it. Was hoping to see we would get more follow through to the upside, and then we were out of it right here. Okay, and so what ends up happening for the if you don't take your stop, right, is you end up watching it, and then, right, you're thinking, oh, hopefully this is the bottom, right? And then every time it shows any semblance of a bounce, right, you're hoping, okay, I hope that is the bottom, right? And instead, now you're dealing with an exercise in pain tolerance, right? And so that I just want to remind people of, it's not that you can't get away with it sometimes, and that sometimes you will get a better exit or you'll be able to get out break even. It's just that it only takes one of these disasters to create a big problem, and you're missing out on the other plays because you're watching this like a hawk, hoping that you can finally get a new place to put your stop. Now, shortly after this stopped out, I moved on to the FAST. Gave you numbers on the FAST as well. For me, this was a 5-minute sell setup right here. Okay, 5-minute sell setup right here. Now, I think we've all been there. Our first play doesn't work, right? We take another play, and then the next play starts to struggle a little bit. Okay, we've all been there, right? I think. And so now, what happened on the CMCSA, right? Even if you took your stop, right? Even if you're not kind of watching that like a hawk, completely distracted by it. Let's say you did what you're supposed to, took your stop, and then now the fast, and you play this fast, and now it's starting to struggle a little bit, right? What do you think most people are going to do? They're going to try to get out of it early. The CMCSA has kind of shaken their confidence, right? And they want to get out of it. So what I played it as was trigger underneath this bar, under 31.12, and stop at 31.28. So that was my play on this. And then as you can see, right, triggered and then kind of already went negative. What do you think most people do? Either jump out, maybe they find a place to trail it. Maybe they think, okay, now it's really not going to work. I'm going to trail it over this bar, 31.20, and then it goes to 31.20 and the 21, and they're out, right? And this was the original stop, right? I mean, I've done this, and it's something that we have to be aware of, I think, day in and day out, right? And sometimes, yeah, of course, that second play may stop out. That's always going to be a possible outcome. But I think the worst possible outcome is to start to let the emotions and the fear dictate what you're going to do, right? And say you do get trailed out of it right there as it breaks over 31.20, breaks over that red bar, or you jumped out of it right here as it was struggling, and then what? And you watch it go and do this. And now the difference between, and that was target one there, the difference between, right, a positive day and a negative day all came down to how did you react? How patient were you with this play here, right? So it's something that really comes down to just consistency, okay? So, I think it's not easy, and, we talk about it in the room, and it's great when I see also people in the room, say the same thing, like, they played the SGH, for instance, right? And then they took it early, right? And then they feel bad that they took it early. What do you think is going to happen on their next play? They're going to, when it gets to target, end up not taking it, hoping that it goes even further. So they're kind of carrying that baggage from the mistake onto the next play. I would say in the case of the CMCSA, it doesn't even have to be a mistake. It's just the fear of, being down too quickly. Now, what can you do, right, to improve that consistency is to lower your risk so that if you think you can be taking 2-3 plays a day, then don't bet it all on the first play if that's too damaging, okay? If you can't stick to your management, right, then you need to consider lowering your risk. Lowering your risk, okay? For something like the SGH, if, it's getting there and you can't stick with the target that you're looking for, right, write down the target. If the target for the SGH, right, we went over this SGH, I didn't play it, biggest miss of the day, but as soon as I came on the mic, this was given as a play here, 20 over, I think it was 28.40. Oh, by 27.70. Yeah, now I remember. 28.40 by 27.70. And I think I was busy with that fast, and I kind of just missed it. I just gave it, and then kind of triggered without me. I know, but plenty of people took it, which was really, really good. And so, yeah, let's say you were just really excited about all these green bars in a row, even though you knew that the daily resistance was probably going to be up into this pivot, right? And so, you got to think that you want to try to hold this all day, then write it down. Write it down on a piece of paper, and then you're not completely influenced by your P&L, right? You make that target. If your target is end of day, I mean, I think taking some at the high of the day is a good target and then trying to hold the rest, right? But if you were looking and that was always your intention to hold at the end of the day, go ahead and write it down, all right? Make it a physical, put it into kind of a physical existence, right? Write down your targets, okay? So I think, these kind of issues all really come down to consistency, because when it becomes one of those things where, say you play the CMCSA, you don't consistently take your stop, and then it ends up being a little bit too big of a loss, and then you play the fast, and then the FAST gets to your target, but you're not in it anymore because you kind of panicked, and you're looking at, how did I do that? I basically had the worst possible day or outcome that I could have had, that I kind of traded awful. And so what happens is we let kind of ourselves make a judgment call at that point in time, and we're not always really to be trusted, right? I know for me, I don't think I have a special talent or a knack for it. So a lot of it has to come down to consistency, reviewing the results, and then seeing where the changes need to be made, because otherwise I don't think it's something that I come into and just have this talent that allows me to just do whatever I feel like, do whatever seems right on a whim, and get away with it. Okay, so I wanted to kind of talk about that, because I think management is something I probably don't talk about enough in these videos, but I think is as important as maybe some of the setups and the things that we go over. Okay, so hopefully that's something that resonates with you, and then maybe you've already kind of dealt with it or know how to deal with it, and if not, maybe give you some idea how to better be consistent with your management. All right. Just want to kind of remind you that there is a promotion going on right now for the room. Okay, we are less than a week away from the bulk of earnings season, so there are going to be a lot more plays coming up. I know I'm only going over like 2 or 3 plays, and really that's really all I've been doing is like 2 or 3 plays a day. But once we get into next week, you'll see a lot more, and then you'll see a lot more calls from Sammy and Mark as well. So there's going to be a lot more activity coming up. So if you want to see kind of what the room is like when it's kind of full throttle, then now's the time. All right, still another couple days this week that'll probably be slow, but next week should really pick up. Okay, all right, hope you did well today. All right, if not, we'll be back at it tomorrow, and we'll see what the market brings us. All right, have a good evening.